Relationship games always evoke emotions in me, because the quarrels and conflicts in them remind me of my own difficult life situations. Some of them I have coped with, others I have made bumps and learned from. For this reason I look at Chloe Price's problems objectively, through the prism of accumulated life experience. Welcome to GCR TV's gaming channel, and here we go. The beauty of Life is Strange Before the Storm is that players cannot just watch Chloe's mental torment from the outside, as it was in the first part. They can influence the heroine's behavior, incline her to the right actions and teach her to make difficult, but adult decisions. Chloe is not yet an uncontrollable selfish rebel, doing everything against the law and imposed rules. In Life is Strange Before the Storm she is a vulnerable, 16-year-old girl with a sad background. Chloe's father is dead, her best friend has betrayed her trust, the heroine herself is in a prolonged depression and cannot find anyone to talk to about what torments her. Only a few wrong actions separate her from self-destruction. Chloe is vulnerable, unhappy, and lonely, so players happily grab onto the only lifeline, high school acquaintance Rachel Amber. The girls create a beautiful duet, share experiences, joys, and go through a difficult period together. Rach does not always meet Chloe's ideals, but she remains her only friend, so the players again and again unconsciously choose Rachel, with whom it is always fun and interesting, and Chloe finds happiness. But was it the right decision? Rachel is the perfect friend, especially for Chloe, who is going through a bad time. She is able to instantly take her on an adventure, support her with advice, or dilute loneliness. But if the player manages to remove the rose-colored glasses, it turns out that Rachel can be quite different, selfish, uncontrollable, and spoiled girl who is not used to hearing the word no. On the 5th playthrough of the game, I already doubt that this is the kind of friend Chloe deserves. After getting to know Rachel a little more, it's clear that the atmosphere she grew up in matches her behavior. Having a prosecutor father and a family with closets full of skeletons taught her to lie and smile while hiding her true intentions. By horoscope Rachel is a lion. It is very important that Rachel herself justifies her behavior by this fact, which are distinguished by selfishness and infantilism. Rachel is a leader by nature, so she tends to take the leading role anywhere, in the school play, in studies, in relationships. People like Rachel have a lot of acquaintances, but no real friends. They are superficial, don't like to talk about themselves, and prefer to draw the maximum benefit from anyone they meet. You know who I'm talking about. Manipulators. It's scary to realize that Chloe met Rachel at the height of her vulnerability. She needed a friend and didn't even notice how she was drawn into an abusive relationship because of her grief. Nor did the player, who is in the same boat with Chloe, notice it. The main character says that Rachel is good at lying and playing games. Their further interaction, smoothly developing into a strong friendship, suggests that Chloe thinks she's special. Someone Rachel won't be joked about or manipulated by. Having gone through Before the Storm again, I want to share what I found and talk about how Rachel Amber forced herself into love through psychological manipulation, pulling both players and Chloe into this abusive relationship. This is important to know not only in the context of the game. You don't even realize how many manipulators are around you on a daily basis and the things they are capable of whipping you up to do by taking advantage of momentary weaknesses. Psychological manipulation is a type of social influence during which one person attempts to change the perception or behavior of another through deception, violence, or concealment. In other words, a good manipulator is able to get the victim to do things that are favorable to him or her, while the victim will be convinced that he or she is doing so of his or her own free will. Manipulators have many tools for such a change of perception. They can use your weaknesses, play on feelings of guilt, pity, or fear. Such people have double standards, try to bind the victim to themselves by all means, and if the test subject rebels and demands explanations, they will quickly and successfully turn the tables, causing the familiar feeling of guilt. It's an unhealthy, exhausting relationship that only benefits the manipulator, and I had a hard time accepting that Chloe easily fell for Rachel Amber. Unfortunately, only in theory everything sounds simple and clear, as in the manual, but in reality it is very difficult to recognize such relationships and get out of them. It is even more difficult to recognize that your friend, soulmate or even a parent is abusing you. Using the example of Chloe and Rachel's relationship, it is very easy to show how manipulative tactics work and why we do not notice them. Chloe meets Rachel at an abandoned sawmill where a rock band is holding a concert. Already from the first scenes we understand how Chloe feels. She is withdrawn, despises people, resents the world because of her father and Max, and prefers to keep aloof, secretly afraid that someone else will want to hurt her. Chloe goes to the same school as Rachel, but has never crossed paths with her until this night. She realizes that the golden girl will never pay attention to someone like her. Price's tactic is to snap back and pretend that being alone is fine with her. But Rachel bursts into her life completely unexpectedly, first saves her from drunken scumbags in the club, then drags her to a mash pit, and already in the morning publishes in social network the first common photo. Of course, the students of the school will be interested in the new friend of Rachel, the favorite of all of Blackwell. With this supposedly friendly gesture, Rach shamelessly brings Chloe to the forefront, makes a public challenge, and forces others to discuss Chloe. Going forward, Rachel will do this constantly, pulling Chloe out of her comfort zone without permission, without giving a second thought to how her shy and withdrawn friend feels about it. Many introverts, by the way, will find themselves in this situation, because it happens at every turn. A couple of hours later, when Chloe is at school, Rachel again makes a lunge and drags Price by the hand to the rehearsal of the theater club, forcing her to express her opinion in front of the teacher. At this moment Rachel doesn't care about Chloe's feelings or the fact that her friend may have completely different plans. And Chloe is happy about it. Rachel is her only friend, and Price is very afraid of losing her or hurting her with her refusal. She worries that after a night in the club Rachel will forget her, but she is happy with breadcrumbs, any attention, touch or look. My suspicions could be considered far-fetched, if it weren't for Rachel's ulterior motives. She's not trying to continue socializing or build a friendship. The day before, the girl read a text message on her father's phone and wanted to run away from class to confront him about cheating. Who would be no better suited for the role of chaperone? A loner and rebellious girl who has no one to talk to about the weaknesses and conflicts within the Ember family. Like Chloe, I really want to believe in Rachel's pure thoughts, but the presence of an ulterior motive does not speak in favor of the latter. So, Rachel convinces Chloe to run away from her classes, take a ride on a freight train, and then forces her to jump off it on command, and if the player refuses, push her off it. On the train, Rachel and Chloe get to know each other a little better. All the while, Chloe doesn't understand where she's going and why she's getting involved, why Amber has decided to pay attention to her, what makes her special, and most importantly, what to say so she doesn't screw up. When Chloe agrees, because once again she is left with no choice, to play the two truths, one lie game, Rachel gets a full description of Chloe's psychological trauma. All three facts about the new friend are incredibly superficial and simple. Rachel is a lion by horoscope and ambidextrous, who was born in California. Meanwhile, Chloe takes the game seriously, dumping the whole pile of her worries on Rachel. She hates country music, which is the music her dead father loved as a child. Chloe dreamed of becoming a pirate with her best friend Max until she left her despite her rebellious image. Price is very bright and loves science. What have we learned about Rachel Amber? Nothing. But what did we learn about Chloe Price? The things that troubled her more than anything else: the betrayal of her best friend and the death of her father. What's more, Rachel manages to lead Chloe into more revelations, about disliking her stepfather, family problems and the dead cat. Rachel manages to squeeze it all out of a little game, but when Chloe tries to ask the same tricky questions of her new friend, she is amazingly quick to avoid a direct answer, masquerading as a new question and turning the conversation to a new topic. The next alarm bell didn't take long to ring. Rachel got Chloe involved in another game of spying on people through a pair of binoculars in the park, and when she found confirmation of her father's infidelity, she instantly forgot about her new friend. Rachel is frustrated and does what she's used to, making Chloe doubt herself and teasing her, stamping Price as a rebel and truant. Despite the fact that it was Rachel who pushed her into truancy and then made sure Chloe wasn't so one-sided and simple-minded. This is a favorite technique of manipulators and a way to make their victim comfortable and obedient, the way the abuser wants her to be. This is not Rachel's first emotional outburst and far from the last. In these moments Chloe wants to feel sorry for her, as she sincerely tries to adjust to the pace of communication of her new friend and does not understand what she did wrong. The important thing is that at that moment Chloe blames only herself, not knowing about Rachel's background and her father's infidelity. What does Rachel do to Chloe's feelings? Nothing. Because Rachel's feelings are more important. Under the influence of a bad mood, Rach drags Chloe into a new game and forces her to steal wine from a vacationing couple. The player, like Chloe, is again not given a choice, but fortunately can refuse to drink with Rachel. The alcohol doesn't help, and the heroines make it to the dump. Chloe continues to blame herself. She tries to cheer Rachel up and relieve her from a sudden attack of melancholy, offers to take a bat and start smashing everything around, cheers her up with jokes, but Amber behaves like any egoist. And when Chloe tried to apologize for her behavior and find out what she did wrong, Rachel mercilessly blows her off. This is the same manipulative technique Amber used just a couple scenes ago, trying to hint to Chloe that the rebellious girl should behave accordingly, leading Rachel into a world of truancy and alcohol. Not to forget that Rachel is prone to mood swings, as many act, and in her fits she tends to forget about the feelings of others more often than not, focusing only on herself. Chloe is hurt by this. She continues to not understand what she did wrong, but Rachel will not want to explain or apologize. Because of this, the heroines quarrel for the first time. After a quarrel, Rachel leaves the landfill, and Chloe finds the wrecked car of her father, who died in a car accident just 2 years ago. Players realize how broken Chloe is as she falls asleep on the bare ground after a prolonged tantrum. She sat alone until dark, but Rachel's pride and her own grief prevented her from returning to support Chloe, whom she left in tears. Amber waits until her victim comes to his senses and returns to show sympathy. The main sign of manipulation is one-sided relationships. The second episode begins with a reprimand for absenteeism. The entire scene in the principal's office is a turning point in the relationship both between Chloe and Rachel and between Rachel and the player. The principal raises the issue of Chloe's expulsion from school because the heroine has a bad reputation, and it is obvious to him that it was Price who persuaded the excellent student Rachel to skip classes. Unable to bear the false accusations, Rachel decides to lie for Chloe and take all the blame on herself. At this moment she hopes that her impeccable reputation will withstand a single blemish, and the director will forgive the first mistake. As Rachel's edification, she is removed from her role in the school play, and then Chloe has a chance to set things right in order to restore justice. But the exchange of pleasantries was unequal. Taking the blame upon herself, Price agreed to expulsion from school. Rachel could have continued to fight for her, but she didn't. And it cut me to the heart. Along with the pain came a realization that, unfortunately, Chloe never comprehended, thinking that she was doing the right thing. Because of this, she did not listen to the words of her mother, who sensibly judged that between her well-being and the well-being of the prosecutor's daughter, Chloe had to choose her own family. Having achieved exclusion, Chloe completely bonds herself with Rachel and becomes her protector, minion, victim. Friendship does not become equal until the finale, and the echo of Rachel's manipulations disturbed Chloe's mental balance for a long time. After Rachel's death, she realizes that her best friend took many more secrets with her to the grave. For example, she started an affair with a drug dealer and was afraid to tell about it so as not to lose influence on Price. Rachel Amber is a bright and memorable person you want to be closer to. But the creators and developers of the original game are very fond of symbolism. And in their eyes, Rachel was not just a person, she was an uncontrollable fire, a destructive element and the wind that spreads a forest fire for miles. It was not for nothing that she got the role of Prospero, the sorcerer who summoned the storm, in the school production of Shakespeare's The Tempest. There is incredible chemistry between Chloe and Rachel, It is unknown where their relationship would have led if not for the sudden but expected death of Amber. Rachel's power was destructive, and using this uncontrollable flow resulted in her destroying herself by trying to fly too close to the sun. I don't give up hope that behind the scenes there wasn't such an unhealthy subtext in the relationship between Rachel and Chloe. They went through a lot, going a long way from abuse to strong friendship and teenage love. But a house whose foundation is made up of lies, manipulation and selfishness will never be strong. This is worth remembering in real life. Every dishonest accusation, lie or attempt at control may not turn out to be a change of mood, but an insidious scheme that you are not aware of.